All right. Hello, and welcome to another series retrospective. This time on Hideo Kojima's Metal Gear. Granted, we here in America didn't exactly get the best versions of the first two games. Well, more about that later, because the first game was out in Japan on the MSX computer. Granted, being out on a computer system meant you could do more with it, whereas in America, a year later, in June of 1988, it was ported to the NES, limited technology next to a computer even in the 80s, so it had to be drastically changed, resulting in what you see on screen now. But of course, like I've said before, I even did a playthrough of this game for my YouTube channel. And back in the day, in 1988, unless you had some connection to Japanese media and Japanese entertainment, living in North America, there's no way you were going to know about the MSX original and how drastically different it was. That didn't come out until years later with the advent of the internet and the American release of the MSX original on one of the later games as an unlockable bonus. Of course, I can't show footage of the MSX original, again, without downloading somebody else's playthrough without their consent or knowledge, and I'm not about to do that, so yeah. But I have played the MSX original, and it is slightly better in my opinion, but I still stand, for nostalgia purposes, still stand by this one. First played it shortly after it came out on rental time, of course, because it was the late 80s, and again, the hard rock era, blah, blah, blah. So most of my games I played were on rental time because of that, like I've said a gajillion times already in these videos, but yeah. And while it was kind of a linear game, by this point I'd played Zelda. It was around this time that I was introduced to Metroid, so I had my open world games to play if I got tired of linearity. Again, I'm not really going to do a playthrough of this game. I already did that, and there really isn't much more I can add to it than what I did for that playthrough. It's a mess of mistranslations, obviously. Well, he didn't even show it. Okay, what the heck? Okay, well he's supposed to almost in a parody. I feel asleep. He didn't do that. Yeah, or I'm getting sleepy. He did in my playthrough of the game. Yeah, there he goes. Yeah, instead of I fell asleep, and of course, how would he say it? He's sleeping, but and why are his legs moving if he's sleeping? Looks like he's walking in place. Sleepwalking, maybe? Yeah. Anyways, yeah, this game isn't exactly the best. It's good enough for me, so to speak. I've played it a lot over the years on NES cartridge, PC emulation. But for me, sadly, this one kind of gets ignored. The MSX original gets a major console re-release. This version of the game, however, not. I can see where they were going with that. Kojima wanted his full vision released, not this, half-ass, so to speak, version in his opinion. And since he created the games and made the games, he has the right to decide that kind of thing. Metal Gear is his creation in the first place. So, yeah. Good game, just not as good. And I agree with that sentiment after having played the original. Anyways, again, there's not much more I can say about that than I haven't already in my playthrough of the game, so moving on. Okay, where is it? to Snake's Revenge, the American sequel, which, as it turns out, isn't even canon, wasn't even made by Hideo. It was made by some other team of developers without Hideo even knowing about it until it came out. Or so says the stories, anyways. The Japanese sequel was Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake on the MSX computer, same as the original game. But again, for those of us living in North America as the 90s began, unless you had somehow had connection to Japanese media and Japanese entertainment, there's no way you would have known that at the time. As far as we knew, this was, yeah. I'm a lieutenant now. Of course, again, this isn't exactly part of the canon Metal Gear timeline, so these characters I don't even think are canon either. Completely made up for this game, I do believe. But anyways, canon debate aside, it's an okay game like the first one. Of course, I haven't played the second Japanese game, Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake, so I can't, unlike the first game, I can't personally draw comparisons between the American and the Japanese versions. Yeah. Completely different game. I mean, whereas the first Metal Gear game in America was basically the same game with just a lot of changes made to it, whereas this is a completely different game from the ground up, so to speak. Of course, this would be the last Metal Gear game made for a long time, even in Japan. I mean, this came out in 1990, around the same time Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake did in Japan on the MSX2. This came out in America at around that same time. And for the next 8 years, regardless of where you lived, there wasn't another Metal Gear game to speak of. Until Metal Gear Solid on the Sony PlayStation, that is. Again, I'm going to do a playthrough of this game for my YouTube channel one of these days to follow up the playthrough of the original NES Metal Gear game. But for now, nah. Released on the Sony PlayStation, October 21st, 1998. A little less than a month before Ocarina of Time was on the N64. Metal Gear Solid, the third game in canon order, or well, in chronological release order. Yeah. Canon timeline, that's a whole different thing, as Kojima kind of played a George Lucas Star Wars, the first few games. Then the next ones went back and prequeled it, you know, instead of Anakin Skywalker, Darth Vader's big boss. The first few games established him as a villain, whereas the prequels tried to humanize him, kind of like Star Wars.
The nuclear weapons disposal facility on Shadow Moses Island in Alaska's Fox Archipelago was attacked and captured by Next Generation Special Forces, being led by members of Foxhound.
3D debut for the Metal Gear series. Again, the late 90s, so many long-standing franchises were making the leap into 3D. Ocarina of Time would a month later. Castlevania already had with N64 Castlevania.
You'll have 2 mission objectives.
Mario had 2 years earlier with Mario 64.
Chief Donald Anderson and the president of Armstech, Kenneth Baker.
And like I said in my Final Fantasy game, as for me personally, this was the only other PS1 game that I ever really got into. The short time I had of PlayStation,
to make a nuclear strike,
other than Final Fantasy VII.
If they do.
What's the insertion method?
We'll approach the disposal facility by sub.
Actually, now that I think better of that, I stand corrected.
One-man SDV.
I did start playing Breath of Fire 3,
as close as it can,
but didn't get too far in it though,
thereon, you'll have to
where I ended up losing my PlayStation and not really feeling compelled to buy another one. course, the downside of that, thinking better of that, since I made my Dragon Quest video, the downside of that is, had I had a PS1 a little longer, I might have known about Dragon Quest 7 when it came out. As Dragon Warrior 7 here in the States, of course. Might have actually played that on its initial release. But I had long since lost my PlayStation by October of 01, so yeah. Anyways, I might do a playthrough of this game for the channel sometime. Unless this game has the same capture problems that Final Fantasy VII does. Easy mode, I'm a wimp, I know. So far it's looking good. As far as capturing on OBS Studio goes. Huh. Maybe I will be able to do a full playthrough of this game sooner than... Of course, the next Metal Gear game, I'm not going to be able to show footage of for this video, since I don't have any PS2 emulation or anything like that. And again, I'm not going to download somebody else's playthrough just to show footage of it. But Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty, is my favorite in the Metal Gear franchise, which kind of sucks that I can't even play it to show gameplay of it. Well, actually, it's a close tie between this one and the sequel, Sons of Liberty.
This is Snake. Colonel, can you hear me?
Loud and clear. What's the situation, Snake?
Looks like the elevator in the back is the only way up.
The first Metal Gear game was voice acting.
You'll have to take the elevator to the surface.
Of course, that.
But make sure nobody sees you.
Pretty much all of the Metal Gear games.
Contact me by codec.
Census have had.
The frequency is 140.85. When you want to use the codec, push the select button. When we need to contact you, the codec will beep. When you hear that noise, press the select button. The codec's receiver directly stimulates the small bones of your ear.
Was weird at the time.
No one but you.
Up until this time, the American version of Metal Gear games was called the transceiver. You know, it was just a minor little detail, sure, but since when are we calling it a codec? Since this game. Of course, this game is all about the stealth. Metal Gear always has been, but the American version of the first two games kind of cut the stealth down, which is one of the gripes Hideo Kojima had against them. Oops, I'm dead. Screw it. Again, when I'm doing a full playthrough of the game, I'll be more cautious and actually pay attention to what I'm doing. I'm just kind of feigning the video playthrough just for the purpose of having video while I talk about it. Not really actually trying to play the game, you know, in terms of concentration and. But yeah, now that I see that this game actually captures, right? Cool. Okay, I'll be doing a playthrough of this game sooner than I thought. Okay, good to know. Now I'm really glad I made this video. I wouldn't have thought to check that anytime soon otherwise. Since Final Fantasy VII doesn't capture, right, I would have thought this game would have been the same thing since it's another PS1 game. Okay. Well, anyways, like I said, I can't show footage of Metal Gear Solid 2. And I haven't played any of the games since then, since I never really liked Part 3, Snake Eater, the first of the prequel. Again, you know, the way Hideo Kojima made the Metal Gear games, the two NES American games, or the MSX Japanese games, started the story midway through. This game sequels those. Part 2, Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty sequels this game. And then starting with Part 3, it's prequels, showing Big Boss, you know, trying to humanize the Big Boss character. Of course, part 4 is the finale storyline-wise going forward. Then it's back to prequels with Portable Ops and Peace Walker. And 5, The Phantom Pain. So yeah, it's kind of weird that Hideo Kojima played a George Lucas in terms of prequels. Yeah. Okay, well there's that. Oh, shoot. Damn it, he saw me. Crapola. I was hoping to get around that corner before he saw me. Come on, elevator, go up. Oh, I'm dead. Yeah. I suck at stealth. Even in games like Breath of the Wild and Eagle Clan Hideout, where you're supposed to sneak past all the guards there, I go in there with armed to the teeth with ancient arrows and evaporate, and disintegrate them with ancient arrows. Screw trying to sneak past them. Anyways, again, the attempt here wasn't to do a full playthrough yet, so yeah. Metal Gear. Well, actually, thinking better of that, I do stand kind of corrected. There was one other game released in North America, 2000? Released on the Game Boy Color in 2000, titled Metal Gear Solid. So silly me, I think it's somehow a Game Boy version of the first game. I look back at that and laugh my ass off at myself. I should have known a game like Metal Gear Solid on the Sony PlayStation would not work on a Game Boy Color cartridge. Should have known better, but yeah. Metal Gear Solid. Oh, cool. Since I recently lost my PlayStation, I can at least still play this game. Wrong. Stupid me. Yeah. Of course, everywhere else other than North America was released as under the title Ghost Babel. You know, wish they'd kept that title here. I guess I can't say I would have saved myself money. I mean, it's okay for a Game Boy Color game. Wasn't the game I was thinking it was. Of course, again, I laugh at myself. I should have known better there, but still. Yeah. Of course, like Snake's Revenge, Metal Gear 2 on the NES, this one isn't canon. This one wasn't made by Kojima, therefore isn't endorsed by him. So, yeah. Again, it's an okay game for what it is. Not exactly a standout in the Metal Gear franchise, but of course after this, then comes Metal Gear Solid 2 on the PS2. Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater, the prequel, and all of the other games I just mentioned before remembering this one. So my bad there, I kind of messed up the chronology of release, forgetting all about this game, which is kind of forgettable and easy to do so because of it. But I mean, again, I probably wouldn't even remember this game myself had it not been for the self-embarrassment of seeing the words Metal Gear Solid on a... Oh, cool. I can play that game again. Wrong. Wrong, wrong, wrong. All levels of wrong. But anyways, yeah. That's about it for my aspect on the Metal Gear series. The first few games were good. Since then, not so much so again. Granted, of course, I haven't played anything since Metal Gear Solid 3. Didn't really get into that game and kind of lost interest in the series, which I probably should have one bad game doesn't warrant losing interest in an entire series like I did. Frick, if one bad game was going to make me lose interest in the series, Final Fantasy IV would have been it for the Final Fantasy series. Or if one abysmally bad game was going to make me lose interest in an entire series, Twilight Princess would have killed my interest in Zelda, so yeah. But yeah, after Metal Gear Solid 3, I just never really wanted to play another Metal Gear game again. That and the fact that, like I said before, I never had a PS3 to play Metal Gear Solid 4, even if I wanted to. And all of the other games since then were released on either PS3 or PS4, so yeah, there's that too. But the first two games were games that I played a ton of times in the late 80s, early 90s. And I even, like I said, I even did a playthrough of the first Metal Gear game NES version on my channel. So. Do like the series, but it's not exactly a favorite. Well, kind of is, I guess. Do I have any save feet? No. Okay. Again, easy. I'm a wuss. Yeah. Game Boy Color, what do you expect? Graphically. Yeah, they tried to replicate the PS1 Metal Gear Solid 1 with the codec screen there, but anyways, yeah, brief, like my Mario video or my game, the roots of my interest in gaming, like those two videos. Short videos since I really don't have a lot to talk about, having only played a fraction of the games. And someday, yeah, of course, I'm not even going to finish that because I know, yeah, with all the new games constantly coming out and replaying the old ones again, I'll probably never get around to playing Metal Gear Solid 3 again or playing 4 for the first time or 5. Yeah. I could sit here saying I will now, but I know better than that. Yeah. Anyways, Metal Gear, good series. And yeah. Thanks for watching as always, and see you next time for Castlevania, the last of these retrospective videos by series franchise. See you then. Bye.